I never imagined it would collapse the way it did. One moment, I was brushing off his concerns, labeling him overly sensitive, and the very next, he was zipping up a suitcase, walking out like I was nothing more than a stranger he once knew. My name is Emily, I'm 27, and if I could turn back time and change just one decision, it would be the night I defended the wrong person, a so-called friend, over the man who truly loved me. It began a couple of years back, on an unhurried Sunday. I was, as always, late to brunch. Noah was already there, sipping his second mimosa by the time I arrived. He smirked and threw out a line, something about how even lateness looked good on me. That was Noah in a nutshell. Charming, smooth, always knowing exactly what to say. He'd been a constant in my life since high school. He'd seen it all. My breakups, my meltdowns, my reckless nights. We'd kissed a few times over the years, but it never meant much to me. He was comfort, a habit, the person I'd send random memes to at odd hours when I couldn't sleep. And then there was Jacob. He was different. Not flashy, not loud, just steady, grounded, and thoughtful in a way that made the world feel safe. Jacob was a civil engineer who spoke about roads and bridges with such passion. It sounded like art. We met at a wedding when he accidentally spilled wine on my dress and apologized as if I were royalty. That single moment led to a date, and then to something real. Those first 6 months with him felt like magic. He learned my coffee order without asking, brought me flowers simply because, wrapped his arms around me when I broke down, and never once judged the baggage I carried. At first, he even welcomed Noah. But Noah didn't make it easy. He mocked Jacob behind his back, calling him Mr. Spreadsheet. He'd joke about always being my number one. I laughed at those comments, maybe a little too much. Jacob rarely confronted me about it, but I could see the unease in his eyes. Sometimes he'd gently ask, "Did you ever have feelings for Noah?" I'd laugh it off. "Don't be ridiculous," I'd say. "He's just a friend." But then came the late-night messages again. The 1 a.m. memes, the private jokes only we understood, the subtle reminders of a summer years ago when something had almost happened. I told myself I was putting my phone on silent to avoid arguments, but deep down I knew the truth. I was hiding. The unraveling came on Jacob's birthday. I told him I had to stay late at work. In reality, I was at Noah's apartment watching a movie. Nothing physical happened, but when Noah leaned closer and whispered, "I miss the way things used to be," my heart twisted in a way I didn't want to admit. The next morning, Jacob made me pancakes, kissed my forehead, and I almost broke down then and there. I wanted to confess, but I buried the guilt instead. 2 weeks later, Jacob sat me down. His eyes were calm, but they carried the weight of knowing. "I love you," he said softly, "but I need you to block Noah. Not because I want to control you, but because it feels like he's in this relationship with us. I can't keep feeling like the outsider." Instead of listening, I laughed. I teased him, mocked the request, called him insecure. He didn't argue. He just nodded, stood, and began packing his things. The calmness in his movements terrified me more than if he had screamed. I begged, pleaded, shouted through tears, but nothing changed his mind. "This isn't just about Noah," he told me before leaving. "It's about how you made me feel, that setting a boundary was weakness, that my feelings weren't valid. I'm not the problem here." And then he left, no slamming doors, no dramatic goodbye, just silence. That night, I let Noah come over. I thought it would fill the emptiness. Instead, he was distracted, scrolling on his phone, barely paying attention to me. He didn't ask how I was. He didn't stay. That was the moment I realized Noah had never been a safety net. He was a distraction, a thrill I mistook for comfort. And when the secrecy disappeared, so did the excitement. So did he. A month passed. No word from Jacob. I sent him one long email, pouring out every thought, every regret. He never responded. Later, I heard he'd found a new place, started hitting the gym, even posted a picture online smiling with his sister's dog. He looked happy. And I crumbled. That was when I cut Noah out completely. Deleted every message, unfollowed him, erased every trace. I started therapy, faced my own patterns, stopped hiding behind excuses. It's been 9 months now. I'm cautiously seeing someone new. But Jacob still lingers in my thoughts. Not because I want him back, but because he taught me something I never understood before. Real love isn't about constant forgiveness or tolerating disrespect. Real love draws boundaries. It doesn't beg for value, it expects it. And when those lines are crossed, real love has the courage to walk away. I once thought blocking someone was petty. Now I see it as strength. Sometimes it's not about cutting someone off, it's about protecting your own peace. Jacob wasn't weak when he left. He was brave. Because walking away doesn't always mean giving up. Sometimes it means finally choosing yourself.